All right. So, good evening.
Good evening.
So, tell the world your name,
Carla Dulaney.
Miss Dulaney.
Yes.
So, welcome to Woman.
Thank you for inviting me. It's such a pleasure to be here today. I'm so honored and thankful that you asked.
Absolutely, absolutely. So, let's get started. So, Carla,
Yes.
um, talk a little bit about your upbringing. How did it shape you as a woman?
Well, I grew up in the projects. And projects back then, like in the 70s, they were like villages, and I know the saying goes, it takes a village, to raise, or it takes a village. I don't know the rest of it, but yeah, it takes a village, right?
Mhm.
And so I understand that concept because being born to a young mother, I saw women, like midwives literally, coming together to support, this young mother. I have women still today saying that I was their baby. And that makes me feel good to know. And I know it was something that I witnessed. I witnessed women, I witnessed friends of my mom's, I witnessed women her age, coming together. I didn't see competition. I didn't see division. I saw so much love. I saw so much nurturing, not just from my mama, but from her friends and from her peers, from other grandmothers. And, I saw my grandmother stepping up and um, being more than just a grandmother, but a nurturer and a provider. So being a part of a village of women coming to get together to support each other is what shaped me as a supportive, loving, and I consider myself a kind and giving woman.
Okay.
So
So do you feel um, like is that lacking today? You think?
I do believe it's lacking today. And I know we should be the change that we wish to see. And I don't believe that part of me has changed at all, but I do see more competition and I do see more separation and division among women. um so yeah, I think it's lacking, and I'm not sure why. Maybe it's because of there were a generation of us who went maybe our separate ways and were sort of like conditioned or programmed to look down on those of us who didn't go to a 4 year institution, or who didn't graduate high school, or who may have become teen moms. I think the division in the programming, you know, came to cause a divide. So, there are women who think that they're better than other women, and
Mm.
that's just not the case. We're all God. I believe God created us all, um, you know, with this superpower that we each possess, and we're so complex and multifaceted that if we really came together, we can do the impossible.
Mm.
You know, there would be no division. There would be no light skin against the dark, and the 4 year college graduate against the one who just went to the 2 year college. I mean, there would be no division. I mean, we could do the invincible if we took those multifaceted gifts and brought them together.
I feel that. So motherhood, right? So
Yeah.
did motherhood change your viewpoint on what a woman is or isn't?
Hmm. I wouldn't say it changed it. I would say it maximized it.
Mm.
You know, I became a superwoman when I became a mother of 5 children, because I had to be a teacher. I had to be a mother and a teacher. I had to be everything to each individual child. You know, they each had different needs. I had one who was an attention seeker, so I was at the emergency room with him all the time because he was accident prone, you know. Then I had another one who was a little bit more sickly, so I was at the emergency room with him all the time, just making sure he stays well. And I only had one daughter, so you know, she was literally like the mini mama. So you know, she was independent, so she didn't really need me as much, but she had her own individual need as a girl, you know. So I made sure that she felt beautiful all the time, you know. I made sure that she was secure and not insecure in who she was. You know, oldest son, you know, he was a bit more independent as well. So, but yeah, I think as mothers entering into motherhood, like that superpower that God has already put in us, it just comes alive and it's awakened. And so we maximize on being a woman when we become mothers.
So motherhood basically kind of just elevates the womanhood.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Mm, I feel that. So, um, what do you feel like is like the biggest challenge for women today to face?
Man, like I said earlier, you know, I would have wanted to put it on society not giving women or not recognizing women for the true power that they possess. Yeah, that's got to be the biggest challenge, that we're not acknowledged or recognized for the God-given power that we really possess. You know, men are more in positions of power and they dictate and they're able to say what we can and cannot have, or what positions that we, you know, can and cannot be in. So I think that's a big challenge where we're not acknowledged and we're not recognized for, you know, the power that God has given us. We're more than just cooks and, you know, yeah, we're more than just mothers and you know, take care of the household, and we're more than just that. We have creative gifts and we have callings on our lives, and when we are called to minister the word of God and a man tells us that we shouldn't be preaching in the church, you know, I think that's not giving us or acknowledging and recognizing the power that God has given us to teach, um, and to, I wouldn't necessarily say lead, because I do believe men have been positioned to lead. But when it's necessary, God also equips us to lead when we need to, you know. But I think that's one of the greatest challenges. We're just not acknowledged or recognized for being more than just women in the household.
So, how do you feel that we change that?
I believe that when a man understands his place, when he submits to the will of God, then he'll submit to the will of God. You know,
Yeah.
God will download in you that there is nothing that you have to be insecure about, you know, with a woman. You know, I believe God is, you know, as our creator, he empowers us to operate and function in our God given roles. And so when you know him, when you submit to his will, then you understand who the woman is and the power that she possesses.
So do you think it's insecurity in men that causes a lot of that?
I believe so. I believe it's that pride thing, that insecure thing. But again, if your relationship with God is a priority to you, then you can get firsthand that you don't have to be insecure. You know, He'll empower you. Yeah.
Facts. Facts. So, if you can go back in time and speak to the younger you, what advice would you give to you?
I would advise her not to be insecure. I would advise her to be confident in who God has created her to be. I would advise her to be bold and to use every single gift that she has with confidence and not insecurity. Yeah.